This is a commission that I sold to a fan of mine. Disclaimer, this is for artists and collectors only. If you're an artist or a collector watching the video, you can buy this painting on my website, and I'll put that on the screen, and I'll also post a link in the description. I'll be making cheaper artworks in the future, and this is a continuing series, so subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to see every tutorial and every speed paint that I post in the future. Welcome to PERCH Paint episode 1. Let's get straight into it. So in order for this painting to work, we need 3 things. Number 1, we need a good separation of cool tones and warm tones. Number 2, we need textures. And number 3, we need to make sure that the objects in the distance look farther away. In order to do this, objects that are closer to the viewer will be higher in contrast, higher in saturation, and more range of values. Objects that are farther away will have less contrast, less saturation, and less range of value. During the time lapse, I'll point out certain areas where I'm adding or not adding the techniques that I've discussed so far. So I'm laying down my line work right now. As you can see, I've already laid down a foundation. Right now I'm focusing on sketching the armor and making sure that it flows the right way, and also that it looks interesting. That is a very important aspect of painting. When you are painting or laying down the sketch for your painting, you want to make sure that it looks interesting to the audience. Even if it's not realistic, it should be believable. Yeah, half the video is kind of like cut to one side because I was trying to play around with OBS and I don't even know how that
We do not care.
So just like kind of just shut up and watch the thing. And right here you can see me trying to play around with the composition and find a way to arrange items in the project, because it's important to think of these things early on during the sketch phase. You can play around with angles, rule of thirds. You can play around with shapes, shape language. There's a lot of things you can do while you're sketching, versus when you already have layers of paint that you laid down on the canvas and now you're like, I don't even know what to do. Well, yeah, it's too late, so you better have done it during the sketch phase. So this is what I'm trying to do right now. And I'm gradually darkening things as I go because I'm trying to figure out which is going to be the focus points of the sketch and of the actual art piece. Because the things that are the darkest are the ones that stand out the most. That's why in the beginning of the video, when we were going through the 3 techniques that are going to be used, one of them was actually higher contrast in the front and less contrast in the background in order to achieve that illusion of distance. Now you can see me placing in a variety of cool tones in the foreground, background, and middle ground in order to, again, establish distance and also to know what's going to have this cool effect that I'm going for, which is it's going to be a foggy lighting with a sunset of some sort, which is off camera. The sun we can't really see. It'll be off the painting. So as the viewer, we can't see it, but I'm establishing the lighting right now. And I know the video is kind of in half right now, but later on I do figure out how to work OBS, so the video is then in full picture. adding in more dark, saturated, cool tones for the shadows. And the light is coming from the left, so remember, that means that everything to the right of the Ronin will be in shadow. We won't see it in the fields because of the perspective, but definitely on the clothing and the armor, the swords, and etc. And the way I like to work and the way I like to paint is all over the place. I don't have an area where I stick to that and then work around it. I like to just jump from one place to one place because I get bored. A lot of artists have different ways of working, but that's just how I like to do it. So if you have a preferred way how you like to paint, you should always do it and stick with that choice, because that could add to your style or add to whatever flavor you're trying to go for. Now I'm starting to place those shadows in that I talked about earlier. Right now in the video, you can see that I'm going light on the saturation. I'm not really going heavy on the saturation for the shadows because I don't understand how the lighting works yet. In case you haven't noticed, it's a voiceover. So I really didn't figure that out until later. So later on, you'll see me then go over these shadows with more saturated cool tones and saturated blues, so stick around for that. If you see me going over this dragon in the back, it's because I'm trying to figure out which texture works better for the dragon between really shapely or just really organic and rough. And I went with the organic and rough feel. We're nearing the end of this rough lay-in stage, and you see I'm placing features on the dragon, trying to figure out how the perspective works, because the dragon isn't facing directly like a side profile, it's kind of on 3/4. And this is where I figured out how OBS works. Nah, say it. Alright, things are looking good now. You can see the brushes I'm using, you can see the color wheel, you can see the layers panel. You can see me laying in the color that I want the shoulder blade to be. I want this part to be really textured. That's why I keep switching brushes. If you pay attention on the left side, you'll see how many times I switch my brush. It's important to do this because if you want to capture the traditional feeling of painting, the only way to do that is to implement texture. Otherwise, everything is going to look really 2D and, you know, fake and Disney Pixar and blah, 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 and nobody wants that. So you want to go for multiple textures if you're going trying to look for a traditional look. See how I just did that? Those 3 or 4 texture marks just changed everything. Now it looks better. Now it feels painterly. Now you feel like a painter. So pat yourself on the back. Now you feel like a painter. Even though you're not really gonna see much of the face in this painting, I wanted to put in the planes of the face and do the details of the facial features ever so slightly, just so that I feel better about it and that I didn't just leave it blank. It makes me feel better as an artist, and it's the attention to detail makes me feel like I'm actually accomplishing something. It's not technical, but it gives you motivation to keep going. Again, I'm going in with more saturated, darker, cool tones to place in the face because that's where the shadow is hitting. The more dark the area is, the more saturated the color will be. That's the general rule of this painting. Again, I'm gonna keep saying this. Keep changing your brushes. Keep layering brushstroke upon brushstroke upon brushstroke. That was hard to say, so I won't say it again. But keep doing it because that's how a painter paints traditionally. They have to wait for the paint to dry, and then they add another coat. They don't have opacity layers and all types of multiply and screen and overlay layers. They just paint on top of the paint that they have. Yeah, I took a break because I was tired. I'm putting in lighter, desaturated, cooler tones, mainly because that's what originally the lighting was going to be. It was going to be cool shadows and cool light, but later on I changed it to warmer tones. Pay attention to the planes of your folds in clothes, because the more folded up they are, the more exposed to the light they could be potentially, and in this case they are. See how the farthest out point of the fold gets lighter colors, and I painted lighter over it because that's the area that I know that the light will hit most. It's little details like that that will make the painting thrive. Alright, we're bringing it back to jazz music because I'm tired of this music. Because this character is the focus of the painting, I can put in as much detail as I want into the subject. When you put in too many details all over the place, then the viewer doesn't know where to focus. So be selective in your detail placement. This whole video, you can see I'm restricting myself, setting limitations for myself while painting. One of the main rules in this painting is that I started out way in the beginning by placing the saturated colors first and then slowly adding saturated colors over time. Slowly adding over time. This helps you to create a workflow that can prioritize your time and make the painting come together more efficiently. You need to stop the video right here to watch what I did. I'm adding a canvas-like dotted texture to my painting in order to make it more traditional. Traditional is all about texture, so I'm constantly piling texture upon texture while I'm working. In this video by Tim McBurney, the Drawing Codex, will show you how to do that. I'll post the link to the video in my description. To make the painting less boring, I added a very highly saturated color with a randomizer brush coming from the bottom of the Ronin character, just to give it some spice and to give it some flavor. I took another break. I add another texture right here on top of the one that we already have. I'll post a video where I got the idea from, and I'll put it in the description so you could click the link. why did I just pick from the 3 colors in the corner? Well, the reason why I did this is because when you have a limited color palette, you are able to establish a mood that you can't when you're using so many colors that it's overwhelming to the viewer. So it's good to limit yourself to a couple of colors to generally use as a foundation. And if you want to venture off from them in the future, once you're kind of near the end of your painting, then do as you please. But it's good to have this rule of thumb. Remember that the lighting on the painting is coming from the left side, so whatever planes on the dragon are facing left are going to be the planes that are the brightest, and whatever planes are facing away from the left side are going to be the darkest. here I just made a clipped layer, and I went over the whole dragon with a cool tone, and I masked it over, made it really soft looking, and now it looks like it sits way farther back into the distance than the other stuff that we have so far. This is exactly what I was saying earlier about less saturation and less contrast in the background. It makes it look like it's farther back. I'm using the lasso tool right here to carve in hard shapes, geometric shapes, and all types of flat shapes that don't really require any soft brush textures. This is the moment where I realized that the left side of the Ronin should have warm colors for the lighting. So I start filling in areas where the light hits and make them warm instead of cool. Right here I'm selecting the whole Ronin character because I want it to be a little bit darker than the rest of the painting just to make it stand out even more. So I'm adjusting the slider to give it more contrast. It's little details like adding these people here, or adding that person there, or adding this person walking up the ledge or walking up the stairs that really make the painting come to life. So make sure that you really do have details like this, because it makes it more satisfying. And even if people don't notice, you know that it's there. You as the artist, you know it's in the painting. You know that you'll see it every single time you look at it, so it makes it personal. Right here I airbrushed the village with a cool color to push it more towards the back. Now I'm adding in the finishing touches, and finishing touches are more so things like correcting errors, changing colors, whether that means a color gradient or a new layer to glaze over the whole thing with one color, or it could be correcting levels. So I'm playing around with a variety of these techniques and methods just to get a look that I feel makes the piece really pop and stand out. Now without further ado, it's time for the reveal. Congrats on finishing the video. I'll see you in the next one.